going on, guys? Here with another video about, free open source software and something that was kind of like brewing in my brain on what people want versus like also what people don't realize how great free and open source software really is, and alternatives to your big tech companies. And I guess like the thought process and main focus of today's video is offline alternative apps that don't require a lot, if any, preferably none, data connection, which can be better for your privacy, your security, convenience, and most importantly, the dollars that you spend on your data plan. And I'm going to go over a list of apps from like a suggestion standpoint and from a use standpoint on what I've used in the past, currently, pretty much today, to help not only give me an alternative to the bigger tech companies, but if you live in a country where you have no unlimited data, this is relatively a good, especially if you're running Android or the more based version, Graphene OS. You can take advantage of these low bandwidth apps and low data use and more privacy respecting. And then towards the end, why open source is important. Spreading the word of these apps in a non-spooky way that scares people and makes them uncomfortable. Like, when you're that, everyone's going to be like, thinks that you're like that sweaty uncle that's constantly paranoid wearing a tinfoil hat. And, my perspective. I'm going to show you the first one of my favorite apps, especially like one that everyone uses and everyone complains about, is Maps. This is organic maps. It's offline hike, bike, trail, and navigation. It's great. I've used it. They are a privacy focused open source fork of Maps.me, previously known as Maps with Me, maintained by the same people who maintain that. Organic Maps is one of the only applications not only 100% features without an active internet connection. I've used it. I love it. I have very little to no problem with it. I prefer it. And offline OpenStreetMaps, if you can, donate to these super giga chads doing the work of Richard Stallman, Foss, whatever you want to look at it. Saves your battery life, no expended mobile data charges. No pesticides, purely organic. Super easy to download. So one of the biggest caveats of it is you do have to download like the state or country in. Like when I went out of country, I downloaded the entire country that I was like staying in. Some stuff is, obviously with this is going to be out of date. Not everything's perfect, especially when it's running off the power of people and free and open source. But if you go to another country and you're going to get hit with those nasty fucking roaming charges, like where it's like fucking like $5, $10, $15, whatever a day. Or if you just live in the middle of fucking nowhere, or if you have like a low data plan, or you can just, whatever, you take your SIM card out. It works. It's perfect. I like it. I've used it. They have a GitHub page if you want more information. That's like their regular page that probably goes over like all the features and everything. I don't know. I downloaded it. So they rely on donations. Mythic Beast ISP, I don't know. So these people are pretty much relying on donations. Their updates, you have to always remember this. When you find a project that you like, not only donate to it, especially if it's being updated on a constant basis. We constantly see these projects get shut down, or they go away, or the developer can't maintain it, and we don't expect them to do this forever. I mean, especially when they're doing it for free 99. If you can, donate to. I will always shove this down everyone's throat. Absolutely donate to these projects, especially if you use them. Even if it's $1, $1 means more to them than you will ever realize. $1, a single dollar, $1. If they have 5,000 downloads a month, and even a quarter, like half of that, donates $1. That is revolutionary money that could get them to quit their job, maybe, or even put more time and effort into this. This is something that we need to get away from. Free sounds great until you realize that free doesn't always equal a better product. Unfortunately, we don't live in a fun society where free as in free doesn't always equal to efficiency. And imagine if they even got a fraction of that. I've used this pretty much everywhere I've gone. I've never had an issue. It is a really good search feature, especially if you're like looking for something. I used to use Magic Earth, but they have a proprietary, which it's whatever. They have a proprietary license. Didn't really like that. So kind of. I didn't like OpenStreetMaps because it was really clunky and kind of gross looking. This looks way more clean and way better, and they do a good job at it. And I switched over organic maps, and I like it, especially like if I go hiking or if I go on a long. I mean, very accurate. Great app. Next one, that offline communications is kind of like something very important. If your cell tower is down, if you lose the ability to commute with your friends, and you lose encryption, no bueno, not good. Like, ew Facebook Messenger, ew this, ew SMS. I mean, Signal you can use as long as you both are using Signal and you have a data connection. But let's say you don't. Meshtastic is great. It's open source. It's off-grid. It's decentralized. Mesh networking built to run on affordable, low-power devices. And you don't need a license. It's great. I recommend everyone go get one of these the hardware. Where is it? LilyGo TT-Go T-Beam devices. Fucking easy. Don't do this one. Do the 1.1. If you're afraid of a soldering gun and you're allergic to learning or doing any docks, whatever, it's cool. Get an 8650 cell, flat top cell, throw it in there, works. It's great. I've used it. Get 2 of them, one for you and your friend. Get an updated, an updated antenna, and it'll work. I have heard the LoRa 32 is good as well. Haven't tested it. I might be testing that with Reticulum Network at some point. I had some issues, but these are really, really cheap devices. They're like $15, and not if but when your communications go down. Say you're like hiking, like at some point, like, and you lose cell service, and you and your homie get separated, or whatever. Like, say like you don't want your messages all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, and you and your wife are just like locally or whatever. I guess I don't know why the page is not loading. Whatever. That's kind of weird. These are relatively cheap. I mean, I think they're like 15 bucks. Ignore this pricing. I think this is just some fucking reseller, but God, I hate the internet, by the way. I hate going on the websites. They're awful. They're constantly, if you don't get an ad block, if I didn't have ad blockers, I would kill myself. I went onto a website once without a side rant, like without a fucking ad blocker, and I wanted to gouge my eyes out about how bad the ads get on these sites. But this is what I got. All you do is pop a battery, pop the antenna on first, then the battery. Most of the time they're loaded with the firmware. If not, reflashing is, I mean, very easy. Amazing. Get a different antenna though. Everyone says they suck. I don't know. It depends. If you're looking for range, absolutely, yeah, get a different antenna. But it does like 256 AES bit encryption. They explain that they're not encryption experts, but they went the smart route. They went with something that works, and they explained in the documents that like, hey, still use this. Obviously, no video, no photos. You know, pee pee poo poo. There is a video I'm thinking of when I do some more research. There is something that I came across that is talking about PTTT, which is like push to talk. Over LoRa, it's interesting. It's on a website. I gotta look more into it, but whatever. And then you could go Super GigaChat Solar. They have a calculator, how to do it, kind of figure out the math, and then goes over the software. Android web client. Like it's pretty much offered everywhere. Android and iOS, I believe, is there. And then we have, if you want something more like on my phone protest, connect. You have Briar, very based messaging. Connect directly with nearby contacts. No internet access required. Remember, this isn't about like, wow, we need another 50th millionth secure messaging app. Of course we don't. Let's use what works. Updated, excellent. I mean, October wasn't that far ago. Messaging stored directly securely on your device, not in the cloud. Connected directly with nearby contacts. No internet access required. Free and open source software based peer-to-peer end encryption. I believe you can get it where it just routes through everything through Tor. They explain how it works. You know, again, donate to these people. You can do it through Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Tor. You know, that's sharing data with Briar via Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, internet. Like, hey, you all share here. E has internet access and can sync the post via Tor to contacts outside of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth range. And if you have an intranet, like if you have like a local internet, that's, I mean, you can't get any better than that. I mean, they have no central service. It's really like, so like say post message to the blog. I mean, you can run, I think, yeah, it's like a blog on there, and then syncs the blog post via Bluetooth, and then C has to share this blog with D so they don't sync post to D. Has it, you know, so it's travels to another part of town. Boom, 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 boom. Like I have a really strong interest in local and peer-to-peer networks. I think it's more interesting being able to run very simple, awesome, less complex networks and getting people more involved, and as long as it's like end-to-end encrypted and like there's good security implications of it, users who are online at different times can use Briar Mailbox to deliver messages securely. I don't even know what the fuck it is. I don't even know what it is. It's a helper app for. I'm gonna have to look into this later. That's pretty awesome. But that's for another day for my brain to work. Which is end-to-end encrypted, so it's pretty based. Password managers, KeePass. I mean, you got Notepad, like a Notepad, and I mean, if you want to just do that, you can just do a notebook and write it down. If you can write it down and throw it in a safe, then offline, no hack. But we're talking about offline, on the device. KeePass, open source. Everyone knows what KeePass is. If you're a super Linux user, but I think this is like something to like think about. Like, okay, if I don't want the cloud sync, if I only have one device, I don't want the cloud sync, and I just want everything locally. Fuck yeah, just throw it in KeePass. KeePass XD, I think. Is the XC? Fuck. Now I look dumb. Massively dumb. Brain damage. It's cross-platform, secure, open source. I mean, take a drink every time I say open source. But if you really want a truly offline, autofill them into your favorite apps so you can get them all. I've used KeePass XC. Fuck that. I'm never gonna. I don't need to. Like, I'm a Bitwarden fan because you can self-host it. They have had pretty good tested security. I'm a stan of Bitwarden, to be honest. I like them. But if you're like one device, convenience, and you sync your database everywhere and update it, KeePass XC is fucking great. They even have a second app I think they work on where you can integrate YubiKey with YubiKey. And I know that CubesOS has KeePass seeing its own, it's like embraced in it because it's offline and it's got its own virtual machine, which is, very based. If you're like, that's your threat model and you're like really like want the separation, I think KeePass XC is great. If I were to have one device and I had 0 other devices and I didn't fucking care about the syncing and I already do a ton of self-hosting, and you can self-host Vault Warden anyway, so whatever. As long as you don't expose it to the internet, it's relatively better. But if you want true GigaChad, KeePass XC is where I would go. I think if you were to start someone with like somebody's grandma office, I think this would be the best way to start because I met someone in the wild that was running this out of nowhere, kind of very strange, especially like in the Zoomer era. Very cool, very cool. But move on. This is one of my favorite note-taking apps. Safe Notes. It's a security project. Providing encryption private note manager that works locally and protects notes from various threat actors. You have to remember this is a project. Do not put super sensitive, non-backed up information. I use this because I like it. It's clean. It looks good. It's on F-Droid. The license is a GPL v3. Whatever. I love it. I use it. Encrypted backups. Once again, 256 with enough time and whatever. Anything can be broken. It's got dark mode. I mean, I like it because it's got dark mode. That's it. That's all I needed. But it's got a backup, encrypted backup. I honestly love it. It's one of my favorite note-taking apps. I have a couple for different reasons. Biometric authentication, Android background snapshot protection, incognito keyboard, brute force protection, prevents data from snooping. I don't really know. And if you don't know the passphrase, it's GG's. Automatically back up all your notes, protect your privacy. So you could even put this, like, say you back up all these. You could even throw them in like a, what's it called? like on a hard drive, like a thumb drive, and encrypt that with Vercrypt. I don't know why my brain was taking a shit on there. But like Vercrypt, you could take safe notes, back it up, move all the backups to a Vercrypt container, and throw that in the drawer. And like, there you got 2 keys. And then if that drawer is a key, you got 3 keys. See where I'm going with? See what I'm doing right there? 3 keys, 1 person. Massive amount of responsibility if you forget that fucking password. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't pick anything any less secure just because it's offline. Knowledge is, wow, yeah. 60,000 public domain books can be fit on a flash drive. Yeah, it's Kiwix, the most based version internet content without internet access. Store anywhere, any website, on your mobile phone or computer easily. I use Kiwix. I love Kiwix. Kiwix is placed. Support them. Support them. Support them. Support them. Support them. $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6. Donate $6 a month. We're starting low. $6 a month to keep these fucking guys going. Please, for the love of God. I hate seeing projects. I hate seeing projects either sell out or fucking end. Look what happened with Simple Tools. You know how pissed I am about that? I think that was just a couple days ago, or today maybe, I can't remember. That I saw a YouTuber that I follow talk about Simple Tools selling their project. And yeah, they have every right to, but fucking A, man. Like, now I have a calendar app that I paid for that I have to move on, and I know that somebody forked it. I just don't care, because what if they sell it or they stop maintaining the fork? So now I'm on a different calendar app using EditSync. So that was annoying. It was just annoying, and it sucks because I generally don't care about paying for apps, especially if it's soapbox moment, especially if it contributes to better privacy, better security, and it gets the developer away from their day job and allows them to maintain this as a full-time job. I think that's very awesome. And it's very difficult. I know it's very difficult to do crowdfunding. Everyone's like, just donate, and we'll be able to quit our jobs. Yeah, doesn't fucking happen. I know it doesn't happen because I see it happen IRL of people just not, people just using it and they're like, fuck it. What's my dollar gonna work? What is $1 to them? A lot more than you would ever know. And I've seen YouTubers talk about it. Even developers, if even 10% of their users or the smallest percent, half their users donated $1, they would be fucking done. It'd be more than the ad revenue they make. It'd be more than the monetization they do and the sponsorships and the Patreon, more than anything they could imagine to continue to deliver this great content or insert product here. And but I understand that not everybody has the ability to. I get it. But if you this is soapbox moment. This is, if you got Netflix and you're paying $14 a month and you watch one show and one movie or insert subscription here that you're paying $10 for, just give me a minute. If you're paying $10 to those fucking people that give you almost no value, and value is subjective, why not take that $10 and split it up? $1 a month to here, $1 a month here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could donate $1 to 10 projects that you use, especially if you start using these. If you use Briar, if if you use like this is gonna be good for offline maps, like just traveling. This is good for communication. This is good for protesting. This is good for keeping your passwords for this, and this, and this. Like, you know, this is gonna help your security and give you better privacy and convenience, so you don't have to think of passwords. Knowledge. But back to my original point. I guess like that was my mini rant. So Kiwix is great. You can fit it practically. I think you can fit it on a flash drive. You can fit the entire Wikipedia page on a flash drive. It's like 52 gigs, I think. Like the based one. The based version. But Kiwix is access to knowledge. You can download it. And you can make into a Wi-Fi hotspot. Content everywhere, even without internet access. Your own private Wikipedia copy. Try before you buy. Free. Selection of Wikipedia, $15. Or you can get the entire Wikipedia, 620 articles, including images, plus the Wikipedia, plus the government purchase. You can purchase it. That's crazy. A Raspberry Pi compatible image with the entire Wikipedia. Yeah, they're charging for something that you can just go do yourself. Your own private Wikipedia hotspot for the price of a burger. Instead of going to fucking Five Guys or a burger. Damn, that's an expensive burger, $15. The fuck? Or $20, full access library for a month. Choose thousands of websites. Create multiple configurations with the content you need. Customize your network. Purchase. There you go. $30. A single month card shop access. Library, ability to create your own best book Raspberry Pi hotspot. I mean, like, using your hotspot. Pick your hotspot's network name. Use the default URL. Add your homepage logo if you want. Flash your image file into etcher. You know what I mean? After 20 seconds. You know, it's access to knowledge is one of the most important things that you can get. Access to knowledge. 60, especially like people that live in, again, TED videos, the library, Stack Exchange. You can get bullied offline. That's crazy. Or you can do it for free. Or you can just buy it. I would just buy it. $15. What's $15? If you can afford $15 a month on Netflix. One cost of Netflix gives you 6.2 million articles. The Wiktionary, the 6 entries, 4,000 languages. A complete Raspberry Pi Stack Exchange archive. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be insensitive. I understand, money be out there, bruh. It be expensive. Living be expensive. But if you can, or you can just download the app. Android, Windows, Raspberry Pi, server. A Zim compatible web server allows you to deliver Zim files. I mean, literally got it all. I think I saw flat pack. The based version, flatty boy. No binaries needed. Ubuntu, 2, Debian. You know, they exist. Custom for Windows. They even have WikiMed, medical article. Like if you're in like a situation where you need some medical shit, some diseases, it exists. All right, off my soapbox, off my Kiwix Kiwix. And all the links for these apps will be in the description. I just think that like there's a lot of people that live in relatively low bandwidth countries. I hope this doesn't fuck up my audio. That don't have access to a lot of this information because they're like, shit, I can't even load a website for more than X time. So if you can, and you can download this, and then you can have 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 this, you already are ahead of the game. You know, you're beating the lack of knowledge. Knowledge. All right, on to Reticulum. RNS is a cryptographic-based networking. I've talked about this before. Stack building for local and wide area networks. This makes networking fucking retarded easy. It's amazing. I hope this gets more popular as time goes on. I understand it's another app. It's a threat model thing. This is why Blue Sky, no one gives a shit about Blue Sky. This is why no one gives a shit about Mastodon or PixelFed or PeerTube or Odyssey. They're great in theory. They're cool, but they're fucking late. No one cares. They just don't want to download another app. And I understand why they don't want to download an app. Because it doesn't have, I forget what the name of it. It's called like the social effect. It's where, if you're not on this app, you're an outcast and a loser. Like it's like when people are like, oh, you don't have an iPhone? You're poor. Which doesn't really make sense anymore because the most expensive Android destroys the most expensive iPhone in terms of price. So if you don't have I guess by that logic, if you don't have a Fold, then you're fucking poor. So that doesn't even make sense. And like iPhone users don't even fucking use 90% of the iPhone, like iPhone's fucking points. They just want the camera. I'm like, bro, just go get a DSLR for like half the price. Like what? And this isn't like Android versus iPhone. This is whatever. I don't know. I think people don't really fucking care. They're like, I want an iPhone for the status, which is kind of retarded. I mean, I guess Graphene OS based. I guess, I'll stay poor. But the Reticulum Network is Reticulum Network is RNS. We're just gonna say it is a cryptographic-based networking stack for building local and wide area networks. It does not use source addresses. No packets are transmitted, including information about the address. It enforces cryptography. All communications is secured with strong, modern encryption by default. Addresses are self-sovereign and portable. Once an address has been created, it can be moved physically to another place in the network and continue to be reachable. It is not possible to establish unencrypted links in the Reticulum network. It is not possible to send unencrypted packets to any destination network. Destinations receive unencrypted packets will be dropped to them as invalid. It's fucking awesome. I literally love this. It makes networking retarded easy. Hardware. This is LoRa using R-Node. I'm eventually going to get that word. TCP over IP, UDP over IP, KISS compatible. You can use I2P. It's fucking great. Also encapsulates it over existing IP networks, so there's nothing stopping you from using it over a wired Ethernet, your local Wi-Fi network, or the internet. Where it'll work is just as well. In the fact, one of the strengths of Reticulum is how easily it allows you to connect to different mediums. So IP network can work with an R node, it can work with LoRa, it can work with almost all Wi-Fi based hardware, any Ethernet device. All these can interact with each other. It's really, really, really cool. It's actually too cool. Here's the manual real quick. And by the way, R nodes, even more cool and more based. When it sends a packet, from what I've read, when it sends a packet, they'll send it out. Say that person is not online. Because you have to announce yourself every single time that you want to receive messages. You have to be like, hey, I'm here. Send a message. It will reach the server. And then once it reaches the server, it will sit there encrypted. From what I understand, I might be slightly dumb and not really understand, I guess. It will sit there, and once you come online, you will receive that packet, I believe. I'm like 99% sure. Like when I've read through the manual. You can browse the full documentation on the site GitHub pages. You can also download. So the cool thing is our nodes, the RNS software to push it over. I mean, there's so much information to read here. Literally so much. When you receive one of these RNode packets, it's kind of cool. Because once you receive it and interpret it, like you can read it and everything, it's all good. Or it'll sit encrypted on the server. But these RNodes actually contain a file on there to set up your own RNode, and they're self-healing, and they acknowledge each other. It's pretty awesome. They kind of create their own network. You don't need to understand DHCP. You don't need to understand DNS. You don't need to understand addressing or subnetting or nothing. They kind of just work themselves. It's like I said again, there's so much information. Like you can see what it offers. It tells you the boards it works with. It uses Reticulum uses the FairNet specification of on-the-wire over-the-air encryption. It's using another already known protocol, FairNet specs. I mean, it's pretty based. I mean, you can't get any more based than that. Once you can connect to the tech. I mean, this literally has all the standalone Reticulum Nomad. You can actually. There was, I think, a test of over a couple kilometers of a SSH cell, which is kind of cool. RNSH program lets you establish a full interactive remote shell sessions over the network, RNS. It allows you to pipe pretty much any program. This is Nomad Network. It provides a complete encrypted communication suite built from the terminal. It's based. Sideband, that's what I use, using the included utilities, creating networks. It deep downs to pretty much how to create your own network, you can create your own RNodes as well. Development, I mean, it's still an updated project, I'll tell you that. Once you get to the hardware, and I think you can use a P2P network as well, a peer-to-peer. You can use I think they suggested some Unify equipment, some MikroTik equipment as well, which is kind of cool. And you can use the 60 hertz bandwidth, I believe, because it doesn't require a license. You can use serial ports, TCP server interface, client interface, UDP, RNode, LoRa device, serial interface. This goes over the equipment, the supported configuration. It's pretty awesome. It's actually too awesome. It makes networking pretty retarded. But let's move on. AntennaPod. Who doesn't like listening to podcasts? Or RSS feeds, however you want to call them. This is what I use. I like them. I don't know. I don't really know what to suggest beyond them. They do such a good job that I don't really need to. You can download. So what you do is you download AntennaPod, and then you download all of, and this goes back to offline. This isn't really super offline. I mean, once it's online, then, or if you're on the local network, it'll work. Or if you're point to point, you don't need internet connection. So point to point, this is the offline. I can go on about this this project a lot because it's super cool. Offline, 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 offline. Like, you don't need internet connection for this. This is just to find alternatives. Like, hey, I'm tired of needing an internet connection, seeing buffering for my maps, organic maps, my messaging, Meshtastic, Briar, keep my password, KeyPass, my notes, don't want them to sync there. I don't want people to see my thoughts anymore. Knowledge, Kiwix, networking, low bandwidth, point to point, no internet, no ISP needed. It's awesome. AntennaPod, podcasting, ad free, listen anywhere. You download the episodes, listen anywhere. You can even select past that I should download automatically. You download them, they're done. Like, you don't have to. I listen to a lot of podcasts with AntennaPod. I like it. Doesn't use a lot of bandwidth. So you say you got some free Wi-Fi in the area, you pick up that free Wi-Fi, you download like 5 or 10 podcast episodes. There you go. Done. You're over. Now, I did find something called Omnivore. It's RSS feed, which is kind of cool. I found something called Pocket. Pocket is like proprietary. We don't like that, obviously. We like free, open source, baby. No proprietary freemium shit. Distraction free, ad free. It's like a read it, save it later. So you can take this. You can use archive.com. Archivebox is like a self-hosted option. But if you don't got a server, you don't care. It's, there's enough guides out there to. Archivebox will work. Save now, read it later. Get all your newsletters in one place. Add highlights and notes. And then this goes, sync with your second brain. I think that's knowledge management apps, including Obsidian, so you can pull all your saved reading highlights, notes. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even read that part. Listen to your reading with text-to-speech. I fucking sometimes hate reading. Yeah, sometimes I like reading. They have they're just donations right now. Pricing is, open collective. But whatevs. I think that's like what it breaks down to is like some of the best apps you can get. Like, I need to get somewhere, I need to read something, I need to message somebody, I need my passwords, I need my thoughts, and I need knowledge. I mean, if you want to break it down to like the most basic, messaging with your homies. This requires equipment, so, an extension. Messaging with your homies, no equipment required besides your phone. I need to get to my homies. There is something called a TAC Civic. It's more recon, but it works with Meshtastic. TAC. ATAC. You can get your maps. I mean, there's another, there's a few of them out there. I mean, they work with the glowies, but whatever. But you're like, hey, I need my maps. I need to get somewhere. That can help you with pinpointing certain things. And Laura, Meshtastic involves GPS. GPS works relatively well. So you can ping the homies hey, I'm in the woods dying. Messaging, KeyPass, passwords, no. Your thoughts, THOTS. They out there. If you don't have them, you can't write them down. What you gonna do? Automatic backups. It's like knowledge, but if you want the base crust, I need to get somewhere, I need to talk to someone, I need to think. And then passwords, all this stuff, it comes in between. That's just my premise. And Omnivore kind of worked out. And there's a ton, like, it's all about, do I have enough bandwidth? I don't have unlimited data. These are my options. Now, to open source. God, I hate this. Unless you've been living under a rock, because we're getting up to 45 minutes. This is about to be, draw consent on this. We're about to end it on a positive note, a fat note. Why open source matters. Everyone under the fucking sun, even open source advocates, are like, it doesn't make anything more secure. I don't care if you can't audit the code, and you're just like, dude, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? No one cares. No one likes you. No one wants to invite you to their barbecue anymore. Everyone hates. I only likes Tom's Hardware, by the way. His website sucks. But LogFail exploits bypass. Unless you've been living under a rock, we have a BIOS fucking vendor vulnerability that affects you at the hardware level. Now, RTP, I watched this video. He does a more in-depth and much better explanation of how it works. Obviously, check out, the boy RTP on the internet, right to privacy, so you can get all your information. I'm just kind of like a delivery of information to the maybe 100 to 200 views that I get on this, and they probably drop off at the 2-minute mark because they have Zoomer brains and they can't sit through 45 minutes of some retard talking on the internet. But whatever. LogFail exploits bypass hardware and software security measures and is nearly impossible to detect or remove. And why it's nearly impossible to remove is because apparently it makes a persistent check into the BIOS hardware. So even if you do a fresh install of say your favorite Linux distro, you essentially it doesn't matter because it's on the hardware level, not on the software level. That's just how my brain has perceived it. LogFail exploits it. Is this something you should worry about? Probably, because it's... God, that's annoying. That's why I hate the internet sometimes. Is it something you should worry about? Probably, if you've been running core boot or... Not that. The more base version, Libre boot, then you don't gotta fucking worry. And this is where free and open source software works. When you put your trust, and that's what it comes down to, trust, into vendors, it can take several vendors and mitigations of people in between you and the manufacturer before you receive your device. Meaning that somebody can put that into your BIOS and you don't even know it. It can be a malicious actor. It can be a malicious manufacturer. And once you get a persistent backdoor at the hardware level, I believe ring 0 is where it's at, you're fucked. You can't change it. There's nothing you can do. It's like giving keys to someone to your house, changing your keys, and then also simultaneously changing their keys, and you not knowing it. I'm not going to go through the article because I don't care. Because the biggest problem is a lot of hardware isn't supported with Libre boot. This is my issue with it. They're like, just use Libre boot. You have to get a fucking 30-year-old laptop. Not literally, but you know what I mean. Libre is not a fork of core boot. It's its own thing. It's, core boot. They're not affected by this. Open source. Everyone says open source doesn't make you more secure. It clearly does. Because they're not affected by it. Because they get to sit and think damn, this sucks. This is probably not should be something that should be put on hardware. Hey, we noticed a bug or an issue with with the hardware, doesn't look really safe, and it looks like it has a massive vulnerability that anyone can exploit at the hardware level. Saying open source software doesn't seem better, have better security implications, is like saying water's wet. It's a dumb statement. Yeah, water's wet. And yeah, open source leads to better security. Not perfect security. No one's saying that. Not ultimate security or private closed source security isn't secure. Nobody says that. But it leads to better security because then other people can look at it and say, hey, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look fun. If you have millions of eyes on like the Linux kernel or insert big open source project here that are really educated, that understand the code, they're like, that doesn't add up. It's going to be caught faster than 5 guys that kind of know what they're doing. I think humans are relatively uniformic and malleable. Like, not malleable. Like, they're very uniformic. Generally, when you put yourself in a subset of group of people and they have a relatively similar idea to you, they're like, hey, I do open source software development because I think people should have the right and should have the absolute integrity to know that their software isn't cheating them. And I know C, and this program is written in C, I'm gonna look through it because that's my interest, that's my job, that's my passion. And wow, this doesn't look like it's gonna be a good idea. I think doing all those things allow good open source software to be better and do better. Core boot's not affected by this for a lot of reasons. I'm not a developer, so I don't know the exact absolute reason. But having this, it's kind of like Intel Management System. Having LogFail exploit bypass hardware and software security measures, even if I'm affected by it, but the likelihood is more like 0 that it would do anything, doesn't make me feel any better when I'm not affected by it, and you have internet retards and philosophical people that think that open source software doesn't equal to better security, and this is the hill they want to die on. Absolutely annoys me to the extreme, because then you have an exploit that bypasses hardware and software security, because you have so many vendors that your PC go through. Now, the other reason why self-hosting and open source software is so great is you can fork it, you can verify the integrity, like Cubes and Core Boot. If you were to flash your PC with Core Boot and Cubes yourself, you verify the integrity that no one else injected malicious software in there. I mean, look at Superfish. I think that's what it's called, yeah. Look at anything else where you have a massive amount of intervention of different people touching your hardware that might not be a moralistically guided person or insert state actor or whatever, data's gold today. And it's not about if you are targeted or I am targeted. It's the fact that this exists and in the wrong hands, and a lot of people that are affected by it, it doesn't sit well with me. It is nothing about if I want to hide or not. And if you don't know, someone could be sitting on your computer right now listening to everything you do, watching everything you do everything, see everything you do on your computer, and then they impersonate you, and then you look fucking crazy because you're like, damn, dude, how did I get hacked? I don't even know. And then you look like a fucking nut job, and then 10 years later, they're like, oh, that was the reason. Packages, papers come out, they're like, yes, LogFail actually exploited millions of people. Like Log4j, that was a massive problem. And having all these problems, people always like go on this hiatus, like, open source isn't do anything. Clearly it has. Back to Libre boot, core boot. Open source your firmware. Your firmware is the lowest fucking fruit on the it's like a buffet and a fat guy. It's like a wet dream for a fat person. It's a wet fucking dream. Core boot and Libre boot. Get it on more hardware. Donate to these. Donate. The giant donate button. Donate to these people. Anything. I'm rejecting the shit. Donate to these people too. They are doing such. Or buy a laptop that you can do this for. You can switch over to. I know it's not glamorous listening to a guy talk for fucking 57 minutes or whatever about offline apps, free and open source software. But without it, you have less options. You're like, oh, I have to go on Snapchat, I have to go on Facebook, I have to do this to stay maintained, I have to use Google Maps. Why? Choice. There's good choices out there that have good implications and good moralistic guidelines behind them. I would rather give you $10 and you maintain my privacy, my security, than me use something for free. And I make that decision. I don't think it's an all or nothing thing, because I think that's cringe. But I think the fact that we don't have, I think at DEF CON, they pretty much logged in. Now it does have to have admin rights, and I'll link to a more educated site. But it's secure boot, trusted boundaries, boom, boom, verify. They pretty much as long as I think they have to have the admin privileges, and once they have the admin privileges, they have to have a computer that has admin privileges, and then they exploit this, and then they log in. They bypass the hardware and software security like locks that you would normally run into, and then it's GG's. But they're not affected by this, which is fucking crazy. Core boot, Libre boot. I mean, that's amazing. So to end on a very long brain rant, use organic maps if you want maps. Use Meshtastic if you want communications. Same thing with Briar. Password, KeyPass. Your notes, safe notes. Knowledge, Kiwix. There's tons of people that have done shit with them. They're amazing. Networking, low bandwidth, almost offline. AntennaPod, love them. And then Omnivore. I think they're pretty cool. They're free and open source. They have no pricing. Donate to them if you need to. They're pretty much they're the base version of Pocket, Raindrop, and all them. And then, they go over that. And then remember, open source software gives you more transparency, which leads to better. I think it leads to better security. Is it better security by default? No, of course not. No one's saying that. Only dummies would think that. But it leads to better security. This is why cryptography is all public. And they use well-known vetted ones. I don't know. I don't know why people even argue it. It's kind of dumb. Patch your hardware, update your systems. If you can, Libre Core. Get a Core Boot laptop, Libre Boot laptop. That would be my suggestion. And until next time, have a good night.